Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper.
and today we're doing one of our special videos for the third year in a row. We are doing our prediction to the Dice Tower Awards.
Yes.
And I believe, if I remember right, you got more right the first year, and I think last year I might have won.
Yes.
We may have to figure
Might
that
have,
out for sure, but I
might have to
believe
go.
I got the win.
Yes. Yeah. So,
So I think we're even right now. So we'll see who takes the claret jug this year. Since right now, as we're filming this, the British Open is happening in golf. If you watch golf, so they're battling for the claret jug. But so we are also battling for that. But we're for the bowl of queso is what we are battling for. Pepper and Zach, a
yes.
rivalry older than who knows what. But
Older than
yeah,
mankind.
But yeah, so the Dice Tower Awards, I think they'll be announcing them at Gen Con this year, which is a little bit different than what they've done in the past. So it'll be interesting. I'll actually be going to Gen Con for the first time this year. And I'll be going to to the award show. So maybe I'll have some poll and can get them to pick my answers, even though it's voted on, I believe, by, I don't know, some of the content creators. I don't know if the Dice Tower people actually are the ones that vote. Tom
Yeah,
says
I'm
he
not
doesn't vote, but I
sure.
guess I don't remember if he said whether or not like Z and Mike and Camilla and stuff vote or not. I don't remember. But
Yeah.
yeah, let's get to the awards here. Yeah,
Yes.
in the comments below also, we'd love to hear your predictions. So,
Your predictions. And
um,
who got snubbed? What game got snubbed?
right, because we have not actually played all of these games.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know, probably a majority of them we have not played.
Yeah.
Feel
Yeah.
like I know a
Probably.
little bit about most of them, so I'm kind of going based off some of that. I think you might have done a little bit more research,
Yeah. I tried
trying
to
to have your
watch
best guess, trying
watch
to
some
win.
videos on all of these at 2 times speed, and just I think it all just goes in one ear and all comes mixed together and out the other ear. So I probably have no clue how any of these games are.
Yes, but yes, we'd love to hear your predictions and see who can get the most right. But
Yeah.
yeah, so starting off with best welcoming game, which I think is kind of the term I think Z used once as kind instead of like introductory
Gateway.
game or gateway game, just because gateway kind of can have a negative connotation to it. So best welcoming game, and the nominees are Boop, Ready Set Bet, Flamecraft, Trekking Through History, and Acropolis. And I have played two of these. You have played three. And
I
we've been
no,
near people playing one of the other ones.
we have heard Ready Set Bet when we were in Vegas for the World Series of board gaming. Tom Vassell was hosting one of these pretty much every single second of the
It
way.
seemed like it. And he's at
He
the
was
table right next to us. So we were playing Shakespeare, which is not a game anything like Ready Set Bet. So yes, so we think we kind of have a feeling of most of them.
yep,
Um,
yep,
so the two that I have played are Boop and Acropolis.
yes,
You've played those two plus Trekking Through History.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you maybe have a little bit more knowledge on that one.
yeah.
And
So
then
I would say with welcoming game, I think Boop is the simplest of those three, but it's
mhm,
also a pretty abstract game, and I don't know if that's really best to welcome people in. I think that's a divisive category, kind of like a
mhm.
chess type game.
And
Can
it's
be too
two
thick.
only two players.
Yeah, yeah, that as well. Which I think this is almost not a party game category because there is a party game category, but I think this is a little closer to that where you would possibly want a higher player count too. Uh, Trekking Through History is great. Just a few core things like set collection, multiple forms of set collection. I think it does that really well. Acropolis, I think Acropolis is a little too complex for a welcoming game with kind of the layers of tiles that you play as well as all the unique scorings
Mhm.
mechanisms. I think that's probably going to be a little too much.
That's true. It does have a few layers too much, I think, to be 100% welcoming. But I think it could be on the edge. It could be on the edge. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
so yeah, I mean, but yeah, I think you're right. There are a couple things. Like even when I played it the first time, I misunderstood the rules when you read them to me. So
Yes, I just
even
wanted to
I,
make sure
a
I won.
veteran gamer, struggling.
Yeah, and Flamecraft and Ready Set Bet, like I said, we haven't played either. I think we have a better idea of Ready Set Bet. I think that's a simpler game, very simple game, just kind of a race, and you kind of bet on the horses, like just whatever the outcome of the dice can correspond to certain horses. For 2 dice, so 2 through 12 represented, and you roll that, and you bet on them, and they move along the track as those numbers are rolled. Very simple game. Flamecraft is very cute, and it is decently approachable, but I think it's a middleweight game. I don't think it's quite a introductory game from what I've seen.
Yeah, I feel like that's the one I know the least about.
Yeah.
And for me, I was feeling because yeah, these two I have not played, and Ready Set Bet to me felt maybe more partyish.
Yeah, yeah,
But I think that
that's
also
true.
makes it probably more welcoming.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm actually gonna go with the one that I think I know the least about,
Cool.
with Flamecraft, just because it seems like it's one that I don't know. It just seems like a lot of people have played it,
Yeah.
and yet I don't. I feel like one of the reasons I haven't gotten it yet is because I feel like it's a little bit lighter. And I thought it might be too light potentially, but
Yeah.
maybe that is not the case. And if you played it, let us know in the comments below, especially me. Maybe Pepper's looked into it a little bit more and knows that it's very complex. But
It's the most
no,
complicated. It's a 4 out of 5 on the weight scale here.
if it,
Yeah. I
if
haven't
there
gotten it.
is some meatiness to it, let us know, and maybe I'm totally wrong on that. But that is my guess because I just feel like it's been hot.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I've looked at that one a lot, and I would get it if I could get all of the upgrades and everything in one thing. But I don't think they've all been available at the times that I've looked. Otherwise, it'd probably be in our collection. But I'm going to go with a Ready Set Bet here. Um, I
Ooh,
just think,
already going for different ones.
I mean, if you don't play it with Tom Vassell hosting, it's probably not as fun. But
Mhm.
just when he does host, and I think he's probably hosted enough players to win this vote. I think if each one of
Possibly.
them votes for it, that's going to be about 40,000 people voting for this game. So I think Ready Set Bet is going to take this. I mean, Vassal
Okay.
may not be voting, but I think he's got influence. I think he's campaigned more than enough for this game. But
Yeah.
we got these as proof now. So in future years, when we're going back to see if we win, hopefully our little stamps here on these games will be easy to check, and we won't be so confused as to who won next time
Exactly.
this comes around.
Exactly. But yeah, then we get right into best expansion. So sometimes in games you need a little bit more. And
Yes,
for Dune Imperium, apparently you need a lot more.
you need a lot
Because
more
we've got
real fast.
two different Dune Imperium expansions, Immortality and Rise of Ix. I think Rise of Ix came first,
Yep,
and it
yep.
was kind of towards the beginning of the year, and then Immortality came towards more the end of the year. So um, I think and then, well, okay, so we got those ones. Then we
Yep,
got two Stonemaier
yes.
expansions for different games. Viticulture World, which Viticulture was their first game
Yep.
that they published, and I don't think um, I don't remember the last time they actually had a product for Viticulture.
It's
I
a
think it had
while.
been a few years, especially a bigger expansion. I think Tuscany probably happened several years ago. But then we got Wingspan Asia, which brings a two-player version of the game, kind of. So it's kind of an expansion. It's kind of standalone.
Yep,
Um,
yep.
Viticulture World, you do need, even though it's a totally different expansion, you do still need the base game. Wingspan Asia, you do not necessarily need the base game, but it offers a way to play. Well, there's already a way to play it too, but got two and then 7 players, kind of a better way to play at 7. And then we've got the odd duck here, Star Wars Outer Rim.
Yes. Unfinished business. Uh,
Yes.
yeah, so probably getting all three of these space themed ones confused. We have played Viticulture World and Wingspan Asia. I love both of those expansions. Have
Mhm.
not played any of these. I looked into them. Obviously, well received. I believe just from the Dice Tower reviews I watched, they preferred the second one, Immortality of the Dune expansions, but both very good. But I do wonder if more people will have played the original. I feel like
That's
just
what I'm
because it's
wondering.
the first, it might have an advantage, even if it isn't necessarily better.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering, and kind of wondering if that would kind of
Split.
divide
Yeah.
votes. Like I said,
Third
I
party here.
don't remember exactly how many people are voting and stuff, but I do know Dune Imperium is a very popular game, so there is a good chance that it could be. I think if I remember right, Star Wars Outer Rim was a popular game that I think that wasn't this the Star Wars. I don't know anything about Star Wars Outer Rim, but I thought that was the one where they wanted or people like had just been waiting for an expansion to the game and they
Oh,
finally
maybe.
did some unfinished business um to get this out here. So, but I don't know. I feel like I haven't heard that much about that one. Out of these four or five, out of out of these five, there's four that I feel like I at least heard a little bit more about, but Star Wars
Mhm.
Outer Rim I did not hear as much about.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, we're not in maybe that circle of gamers.
Mhm.
Because yeah, gameplay wise, like it made me think of Cosmic Encounter. Like there's some trades and things you could do with players, and it adds some things with that. And unless I'm mixing that up with something else, which I could be. Um, but so I could see that might not be exactly our type of game, but still, yeah, I haven't heard much about it. I personally would probably go maybe Wingspan Asia. I like I really like what that does with the two-player mode, and it kind of mixes up the board with those little tokens you can put out.
Mhm.
But for some reason, I just don't feel like the third expansion to Wingspan is going to win this. And also, for some reason, I don't feel like Viticulture is going to win it either. Just
Yes.
something
Well,
about
Viticulture
them.
World is a cooperative game
Yep.
now,
Yep.
so the original Viticulture was not. So it is in a way it's almost like a brand new game.
It really is. It has a new board,
So
I think. Does it?
yes,
Yeah, I think
it
so.
does. So yeah, it's that one's. I feel like this one's probably the toughest for me because I just don't. I really don't know what's going to win here because if it was just one Dune expansion, I probably would go with that for sure.
Me too.
But yeah, I don't know if that's going to split it. And then, yeah, like I said, I don't know much about Star Wars Outer Rim. Um,
Yeah, that
but
I think I'm gonna have to go the second expansion here of this. Just added a few things that looked really cool. Um, but you're right, it probably is gonna split between the two of them, and so that's probably not a good pick. But I'd kick myself if I didn't go a Doom expansion because I have just loved.
yeah, and if I'm going with what I wrote down here, I do have the same. I do have Dune, Imperium, Immortality. As I'm thinking, I'm like, could Wingspan Asia do it? But like you said, it's the third expansion. It feels like I don't know. Are people sick of Wingspan expansions? I don't know, but it does add a kind of a, I think out of all the expansions, kind of the coolest thing. I mean, the Nectar and Oceania was pretty cool, the new boards, but I think this two-player version, I guess it really depends how many people play it two players because I felt that was a pretty cool thing that they did.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so I could see that winning, but yeah, I got to go with doing Immortality. That's what I wrote down, so I got to go with it. So we're both going with that. Let us know how we're so wrong below.
Yes. Onto the party game, which I mentioned a little earlier that a certain game felt like a party game.
Hmm.
That is
You
already
could
set.
maybe just put my letter there, but we can go through the motions here. Best party game.
So we got Ready Set Bet, which is a fast-paced horse racing game. It's chaos. If you've ever heard it, been next to a game of this, um, it was fun. I can't imagine playing.
Right.
Feed the Kraken, which I think is kind of werewolfy some roles there, but you're kind of voting and controlling a ship towards certain parts of the map. Blood on the Clock Tower is even more werewolfy.
Mhm.
Kind of, yeah, in the night, probably kill someone, maybe different roles.
Mhm.
Very social game.
Yeah. But I think like in this one, even like the good people have
Oh,
roles.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I think there are good roles in Werewolf, but I think everyone has a role or
yeah,
something.
yeah. I think
So
the bad people can like imitate certain roles, and
mhm.
things like that. And it's just getting bigger and bigger. Like I think, oh, you can go off and have like individual conversations. I'm like, okay, this is just becoming a game of Survivor, a TV show now. At this point,
That is
uh,
true.
and we have Phantom Inc., which is kind of you are trying to convey a word. It's an interesting game, like a team, someone who knows the answer, and then someone who's trying to guess them. Each team has that. A team of 2 players, and one provides questions, and then the person who knows the word chooses one of those questions secretly, and then starts writing the answer letter by letter. So you're giving some clues to the other team, although they don't know the question or that was asked. But and so you're trying to stop them once you think you know what word they're spelling out. It's a very complex, weird thing, but it seemed cool, kind of
Hmm.
almost like a Ouija board, trying to. That might be the theme of it. I'm not sure. Spell things out and figure them out before giving away too much for other people. I probably massacred that. And then the most classic party game looking game here, Green Team Wins, uh, which is just a trying to be in the majority answering a certain question on a card type thing. And if you are
Mhm.
in the majority, you will score more points because you are on the green team and you win.
Yes. And I will say, I've seen this at Barnes and Noble a few times, and I've been very tempted to pick this one up. Green Team Wins because I feel like it's a good, yeah, party game,
Yeah.
very family weight game.
Yeah.
Just trying to be in the majority, you're trying to be popular.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it feels like a
Oh,
game that would probably work pretty well.
yeah. Yeah. For sure.
But yeah, we have not. I have not played any of these.
I have not either. I think Phantom Inc. and Ready Set Bet are probably the ones I'm most interested in. Least interested in Blood on the Clock Tower. I think Feed the Kraken is a little more fun version of that. And then Green Team Wins is just probably about as fun as all the other kind of answer a question party games.
Mhm.
Sounds like it has a really good set of questions, which is very important for that type of game.
Right. Mhm.
Uh, so I have a hard time going against Ready Set Bet. I mean, it just
Wow, he wanted to put his there
I,
first so
I
he
wanted
could
to get it first.
pretend. So he
Yes,
could pretend he didn't get influenced by me.
these look cool. Blood on the Clock Tower is huge, but I mean, this is a party. If you were there sitting next to that table trying to play Shakespeare and you heard the commotion, you knew this was something else.
Yes,
This was a
I would
party.
agree. That is what I have down for best party game.
Wow, he's just copying me. Jeez. Look, I obviously went first here. He copied me. He went first here. He copied me.
This guy.
See if it continues.
But yeah, I would say, yeah,
Yeah.
Ready, Set,
What?
Bet, or Green Team Wins are probably the ones I'm most interested in.
I mean, Clock Tower is just too much of a lifestyle type game, I think.
Yeah, that's true. And we don't really have a group that plays that type of game. So I think it's hard for me to take that out of it too.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I think there's a lot of people that really like the Blood on the Clock Tower game.
I mean,
So
we primarily play 2 player games, 2 or 3, sometimes 4 if we're lucky.
so we're almost always on the green team when
Yes.
we're playing 2 players. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess none of these would really work for us. But yeah, on to the next best, a solo game for lots of people in a party to just one lonely person. And this one was surprising. I guess we'll go through them. Wayfarers of the South Tigris, which is not a solo only game. It's just a solo variant in the game. And Heat Pedal to the Metal, same thing, I believe. Return to Dark Tower, that one's at least a cooperative game. So it's a little more toward solo play. Frostpunk, I actually forget if that is cooperative or competitive.
I think I
This
always get
was,
confused by that one.
yeah, but it's a very, very heavy game. I went into it a little bit and I was like, oh my goodness. And I saw the components, and I went to the VGG and saw it had a weight of like 4 point something. I'm like, okay, this is not going to get my vote for this category, so I didn't look too much more into it, even though it looked pretty. And then Batman: The Dark Knight Returns, which is another, I think, cooperative game, 1 to 2 players. Actually, not cooperative. It's a solo game with a 2-player variant where you can kind of one can be the bad guy in that, which that immediately gave it an advantage over the rest of these for me. I just feel right if there's only one that's solo only, I tend to lean towards that for a vote. Even though
maybe I should have done more research because yeah, when I saw that, I was like, I haven't heard anything about this game, so I did not look it up, so I don't know anything about that one.
Yeah.
I have played 2 of these. I haven't played any of them solo. So I played Wayfarers and Return to Dark Tower. But yeah, I would agree that I feel like to be best solo game, typically it either has to be solo only or it has to be a cooperative game where if you play it solo, it's not like a lot of extra work.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I just have a hard time going for certain games like Wayfarers. It might be I've heard good things about their solo implementations, but it's just something different than playing against the game versus and a little AI thing actually going against monsters and different things. It just seems more fitting. So I would be between Return to Dark Tower and Batman. I think I'm going to go Batman with this vote.
Wow.
Return to Dark Tower is just a little big. I've played it solo. I've liked it solo. But it is a big game and a lot to consider, especially with the expansion. Oh boy, that was a play right there. Solo play. But it is good. But I'm going to go with.
Okay. I mean, that's fair. I think if I'd known that, I would have considered Batman a little bit more. I should have looked, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Return to Dark Tower. I think that one probably has a good chance. But yeah, I like when I obviously never playing any of these solo. To me, I haven't even played Heat at all. So, but I would think that the funnest way to play that would be with like 3 or 4 players racing around the track. I don't know. That seems like the best way to play it. And this isn't saying best way to play a game is a solo game award. So, I mean, kind of, I don't know. It's kind of metaing the thing like, well, I don't like this best at solo, but it's not really saying that. It's just has a good solo variant. So it's hard to kind of put that aside. So that is kind of my reasoning for.
I wonder how many people will actually play each of these. Like, I don't know exactly. I'm guessing they do try all these at solo. But I know, I mean, not everyone can play every single game. So I do wonder what like the numbers of plays for like who goes on these versus the other ones, or how that works.
It's true.
And then we bump it up to a little less lonely. Just a 2-player game. This has War of the Ring, the card game. Boop, a game that was its second nomination. Caesar sees Rome in 20 minutes, which is a sequel kind of re-implementation of Blitzkrieg. Splendor Duel, bringing Bruno on to another duel game here, and Beer and Bread.
Yeah, I have played games. 2 of these.
Yeah, you did.
Played Boop and Splendor Duel.
Oh, Boop. This is hard.
This is tough.
Games. It's just something about 2-player games. I think Arlie's all 2-player only. Now there's 2 to 4 War of the Ring, but it's teams, I believe. Forget Beer and Bread. How many that goes up to? The other 3 are 2-player. Oh, yep, just 2-player. This has got to be the hardest, one of the hardest, because each of them has that factor of like, oh, this is a 2-player only game. Oh, that's got an edge, but this one does. But this one does. But that's Lord of the Rings, pretty much, and that's a cute booth cat.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I don't know that much about the War of the Ring, the card game, or Caesar. I still don't really know that much about Beer and Bread, but I do know when I first heard of it and heard it was a two-player game, I think I looked into it and then wasn't like overly like, oh, I got to get this game. So I guess in my mind, I immediately like, oh no, that one can't win. Um,
Yeah.
and then Caesar, I immediately thought of Blitzkrieg. So I do like Blitzkrieg a lot, but I was like, oh boy, can you do Blitzkrieg 2? But not, I don't know that that's exactly what this game is. I'm assuming not, but that's what it made me think of. Um, and then War of the Ring, the card game, I think, even though, yeah, I don't know that much about it, don't have any Lord of the Rings, or Lord of the Ring, games. I think it's a very popular IP. But then Splendor Duel was the talk of the year, I feel like, out of these ones. But then Boop is just nominated all these times. I'm just like, what's going on here?
I
I
know.
played Boop and I'm just like, I mean, it's fine. But
Yeah.
it's just like, really? I'm not seeing it. It's just an abstract game. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know.
Boop doesn't really stand out for me. I don't know. I feel like Splendor Duel. I was very excited for it, and I've heard good things, but I don't feel like it made a huge impact. I think people are just like, it's
But
another good game
give
for
me,
Bruno.
give me, put Splendor Duel down for me before you start
Okay.
trash talking it.
Okay.
I know what you're gonna go with now.
I actually
Splendor
like
Z.
it is very fitting. I actually looked at Beer and Bread and I'm like, oh, that looks really cool. I would like to add that to the collection, actually. I don't think it's going to win here,
Interesting.
but it looked really cool, some of the resource management of it. Um, but I was probably between these three on the left here. Like I said, I don't feel like Splendor Duel made as big an impact as something like Seven Wonders Duel.
Okay, well, if
But
we're comparing
I
that,
mean,
then no.
yeah. So compared
The
to that,
Seven Wonders Duel Award. But
it's
yes, I
slightly.
think I know what you're going with, and it was my second choice, I think.
I was thinking this War of the Ring, but since it goes up to 4 players, I think that might be possibly someone said it was preferred that way. I think Roy said that. So I was like, I will settle and go with Caesar
Oh
here.
wow, then I am not. I thought you'd pick War of the Ring.
I
I
was
think that's
going
my
to.
second. I think that's my second guess.
I was going to for a while, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I just thought, I don't know if Blitzkrieg won the year it came out, but if it didn't, I think this one should have a good chance.
Yeah, and I would say that one would probably have the chance of being my favorite, I think, out of all
Yeah.
those. But
Yep.
I know
Yep.
nothing about it outside of Blitzkrieg. And we get to the sixth award here, Best Reprint. And
Yes.
right off the bat, I did not realize this first one was a reprint. Cat in the Box Deluxe Edition. I didn't realize that, or Cat in the Box at least. I don't know if it's specifically Deluxe Edition, but uh, I don't know that there is another edition either. So then we've got Get On Board, Libertalia Winds of Gale Crest, Return to Dark Tower, and Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Um, and yeah, I think these all did a pretty good job of um,
Oh,
re-implement or going back and remaking the game.
yeah, they all look really, really nice. Obviously, Return to Dark Towers from Restoration Games. That's what they do. So they're
Mhm.
very good at it. Cat in the Box is a really nice production for such a small trick-taking game. I've seen maybe 1 or 2 pictures of the older version, and this version is
Mhm.
very nice compared to that. I'm not sure what Get On Board looked like, but I think that was some. Is it Sashi? And Sashi might have had that previously over Asia, whatever. I don't know. This is the first time being widely available.
Mhm.
Libertalia, probably the most divisive, I'm going to think, of these, just
I
based on
think so.
artwork. Kind of taking that
Yep.
classic pirate look and then going with this in the winds of Galecrest, anthropomorphic animals, divisive.
Right.
Um, Return to Dark Tower, obviously making a game out of something from like the 80s, and then Castles of Mad King Ludwig just being super deluxe components and storage solution.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would think probably one of the bottom three here, probably one of the two on the right.
Yeah. I was thinking so as well, just because, yeah, Libertalia Winds of Galecrest, I think it did well, was decently received, but I don't know that it was like all-time greatness in reception, especially for a game that it seemed like it was one people wanted.
Yeah.
And then the two on top, I think they just seem kind of small,
Yeah.
and I feel like when I think of Reprint, I don't think of either of those. So, yeah, it doesn't. Not saying they aren't reprints, but they just when I think of them, that's not the first thing I think of.
We are
So,
challenging this nomination.
so yeah, I would agree that it'd probably be one of the bottom three and likely one of the two on the bottom right.
Yeah. I mean, Tom
Not-
really loves the castles. He thinks it's a great storage solution. He didn't really like their other one, Suburbia Deluxe Collector's Edition. He thought that that was maybe not the easiest to kind of, with all the expansions in there, a little hard to get through all that and manage it and set up for whatever his complaints were. I like it, so I'm not going to take them into account. But he liked that quite a bit, but I still think a brand new game over a collector's edition is going to win out here.
And this just makes me feel absolutely awful because I did not like my one play of this game, but I've already chosen it now 2 times to win Dice Tower awards.
Oh, that's
So,
true. He's super fan.
so yes, I am also
I'll
picking Return to Dark Tower.
make the Z very
Um,
small for you.
Yes, this is even though I've played 3 of these. I need to play Get on Board Game Arena, um, just to try it out. Have you played it on there?
I have not yet. No.
Okay. But yeah, played Libertalia, Return to Dark Tower, and Cat in the Box. Not played any version of Castles, Mad King Ludwig. Well, between 2 castles, I have played.
Yes.
But that is obviously a different game. Um, always eating the pepper. But yeah, as much as it pains me because I did not love my play of Return to Dark Tower.
Yeah, I will say that you had the least to do in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll admit that probably wasn't the most exciting for you. All the rest of us had a good time.
That is true. I was glad everyone else enjoyed it, and that is why I am looking beyond myself to give it this award, this award and the solo award.
Yes.
And now, if it loses, now it is really going to be on my list. It is going to be on the list, all right. Because yeah, but yeah. Then we get to best co-op game, which we've got a doozy of a selection here.
Yes, we have Star Wars: The Clone Wars, which has kind of a pandemic system to it. Nemesis Lockdown, which is a sequel to Nemesis. I think more of a dungeon crawler type game. Pretty much Alien and Aliens, that series of movies, pretty much that in a board game. Cora Quest is a dungeon crawler for ages 6+, designed by Cora and Dan Hughes, father and daughter. I'm all the other way. Dan is the father, Cora is the daughter. So a lighter weight dungeon crawl.
And Mike Delicio is the good friend.
Yes. Lands of Galzir, which is, or Galzir, I don't know how to pronounce it. Kind of an open world, I get from it, story driven, Sleeping Gods like type of game. I don't know. I haven't played it. And again, Return to Dark Tower, which I wonder if he's going to choose it for a third time. We will see.
I don't know. I've played 2 of these games, but I have not played the one as a cooperative game. So I am interested to know how
you
it
played
plays
Lands of
cooperative.
Galzir?
I have played Lands
You
of
play? Oh, I
Galzir
didn't know you
one
played it.
time, but we did not play the cooperative version of it. So
Oh,
now that it's nominated for this, I may have to go back and play it
how do you not play
cooperatively.
the cooperative versions? Oh
Yeah, I
my.
don't know because I did think that in the game we played, it just felt like I don't know the scoring of how that
Doesn't
worked.
matter.
If I remember right, just didn't feel like it really mattered. It just felt kind of weird a little bit, in my opinion. So maybe as a cooperative game, I don't know what the differences are exactly, but maybe it's an even better experience. And I already thought it was pretty good. So
Yeah, I looked at a video of it and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I forgot if you had gotten it. Apparently, you had gotten it and even played it. Um, yeah, I forgot if you gotten it. I had to
remember
check.
the first imps on our channel.
Oops. But I was pretty excited after watching that video. I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool with kind of the dice check system. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty interested in that.
Pretty
I,
cool until you're the one trying to roll those dice and
yeah,
they
then
don't
it
roll well.
doesn't treat you well. Doesn't treat you well. I eliminate Nemesis just because it's a straight sequel, probably a little cleaner system. So I eliminate that. Star Wars, I would almost just because it's a pandemic game, but apparently it does change the system, the core parts of pandemic more than almost any of the other pandemic type of games. So
Hmm.
I think that's the only thing keeping it in the running for me. Core Quest, I think, might just be a little too light to
Mm-hmm.
win all the votes. And I don't know. I don't know. I can't tell if Return to Dark Tower. I mean, I want to champion it and vote for it every time, but I think, I mean, that's your job now. But I don't know if it is just because you don't like it that much, very much at all. I'm like, that's just in my mind. Like 1 in 3 other people aren't gonna like this, so I'm just like, can it win it?
That was 1-4.
No,
1-4.
1 in 4.
So now it's got a chance again.
That's true. So I don't know. This is a tough one. Gelsier, I don't know if it's gamey enough to win. I was
Yeah,
thinking,
I would say Lands of Galzir is very, very story driven, story heavy.
yeah,
Um, it it's very close to yeah, not being very much of a game at all. Like I said, in the competitive version, it just kind of felt random on the scoring a little bit. So it wasn't my favorite part, but I did really, really enjoy the story. So I did like that. And this might be speaking with my heart from the play, but I am going to go with Lands of Gals here. But I don't know if it's been as widely available or if as many people have played it. But at the same time, I don't know that I see all that much for Return to Dark Tower either. As much as I've championed it here in this whole video, so um, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I think my other pick would maybe the smart pick would be Return to Dark Tower, but I don't know. But at the
I
same
think,
time, probably the most easy one to get into is probably Star Wars: The Clone Wars.
yeah,
But
yeah, that's
I
true.
think it's hard for me to pick Star Wars. I've never really watched any Star Wars. Piss piss everyone off that's a Star Wars fan. Like, oh, all these Star Wars games should win, and these Lord of the Rings games. I do like Lord of the Rings. I have watched Lord of the Rings. Um, just never gotten a Lord of the Rings game. But
Maybe someday. I'm gonna have to go with what you said. The smart pick here. Return to Dark Tower. This is the easiest for it to win. Now that you have chosen not to pick it,
yes,
finally,
it
I
will
know it's gonna
lose
win.
those other ones, and it will win this one.
That's what locked
Almost
my vote
100%.
in.
People take this to Vegas.
It is a guarantee, all but guaranteed.
Oh boy.
And then best game from a small publisher, which I think they have to have released like 5 or less games, published 5 or less games at the time that they released this
Something like
game. So we have Blood on the Clock Tower from the Pandemonium Institute, Planet Unknown from Adam's Apple Games, Three Sisters from Motor City Gameworks, Cora Quest from Bright Eye Games, and Flamecraft from Cardboard Alchemy. I know which one we both want to vote for with our hearts, and I don't think we're going to go against our hearts. Although we might, but I'm not going to. I'm going to go with Planet Unknown. I gotta go.
I would agree.
You going
I would
Planet
agree.
Unknown too?
That's the one
Flamecraft
that I
is
picked.
scaring me. Flamecraft. A lot of people love Flamecraft.
It is, and it was probably more. Well, I don't know. Has it been widely available? I know Planet Unknown was not the most widely available, but I don't know if Flamecraft was either. So,
That's
it
true.
could hurt both of them. But
And I don't know if it's just because we love Planet Unknown so much,
I think
but
that might be
it
it.
feels underrated. I
Mhm.
feel like I see Flamecraft on social media more than I do Planet Unknown.
I would agree.
So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go against my heart. I'm gonna actually go down to Flamecraft. I just went against everything I initially said and went.
Ah, yeah, that would be my other pick, I think. Um, yeah, Blood on the Clock Tower has, I think it's got a good fan base. So, um, Three Sisters is good, but I think if I remember right, Motor City Games kind of has done similar games over and over, or the roll and write type games with kind of some bonuses and stuff. Uh, Not to say they're not fun. I really enjoy who is that Matt Riddle and I can't remember who else, but um, I know
Ben
that
Pinchback, something
I
like
know
that.
that I think they've made kind of some other games in the series, and I really like Three Sisters. But yeah, and then Core Request
Yeah.
could sneak out of nowhere, but yeah, it's just another one of those that yeah, like you said in the last one, I think it might be a little bit too light to win any of these,
Yeah.
but um, I don't know, maybe it would have had a chance at because it wasn't in Welcoming Game, right?
No. Yeah, that's a surprise that it wasn't there. Interesting. Unless I
Hmm.
made a mistake with these slides.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Planet Unknown, but yeah, that's probably a heart pick versus Flamecraft is probably the smart choice.
Yeah. But I mean, I could see Blood on the Clock Tower taking it as well.
Yeah, it really depends
Just
who's
not our
voting
type
on
of
it.
game, so it's so hard to pick it.
Hmm.
And from a new designer, this is where I think Cora Quest has a chance. Just because it is that father daughter, uh, Cora and Dan Hughes. Again, I swapped
This
the
is
order
my
there.
first time seeing this, and I see the Scott Brady picture, and it just makes me think he's like 100 years old, and this is a 19 whatever portrait.
That's exactly what I thought. I'm like, I have to use that picture.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, best game from a new designer. We've got Cora and Dan Hughes with Cora Quest. Peter B. Hofgard, Starship Captains. Scott Brady, Boop. Stephen Medway, Blood on the Clock Tower. And Jules Masad, Acropolis.
Yes. Like I say, Blood on the Clock Tower. It's hard to judge it. It's not our type of game. Boop.
That's the tough. That one, I mean, depending on who is voting on this, if
Yeah.
they are people that like those types of games, Blood on the Clock Tower could sweep
Yeah.
some of these
Yeah.
pretty
For
easily.
sure.
But yeah, I would agree that it's tough for me to pick these or
Boop.
pick it.
Isn't that impressive for me? Sorry, Scott Brady. No, I mean, you've been around 200 years, it seems. I mean, you obviously know how to design. Well, this is a new designer. So I guess he doesn't know how to design games. I don't know. It didn't stand out to me when I played it.
Mhm.
Acropolis, I think that's a pretty solid game. Starship Captains we haven't played. It's kind of Star Trekky. It had that nice little dual layered board where you can put your little miniature people in. It has a slot, a rounded slot, like a queue of your workers, and you kind of push it at the end. They all slide through the slot, kind of like that deluxe suburbia tile tray. I really like that. That's very satisfying. Doesn't have anything to do with actual gameplay. I mean, it helps it a little bit, but so I was actually pretty interested in Starship Captains after seeing the components of it.
That's
Uh,
one I haven't looked at, but yeah, maybe I'll have to now.
Personally, I think when it's new designer, can you get newer than a child in Cora Hughes? I don't know. I don't think anyone can compete with the father-daughter duo. I mean,
That
it's
is tough.
just such a great story.
That is tough. It's going to be even tougher though because I believe Dan Hughes and family friend Michael DeLisio are working on a game, and that'll be the first time those two are working together. So when we get a nice picture of them together next year on their game, well, whenever it comes out, maybe it won't be next year, but then there'll be new combined duo of designers. They'll make a new category just for them. But yeah,
New
that is
duo.
tough. It has been a very popular game for
Yeah.
yeah, that can be played for in family settings, and it's great that uh, a child was able to design something that is playable and people are really having a good time with it. So that is awesome. I'm sorry I cannot pick it. I am picking the next Bruno Catala, Jules Massad.
Oh my goodness.
But now that I hear this about Starship Captains, I may be wrong. But no,
Yes.
I think there's something about Acropolis that just seems like it could be a timeless evergreen to me.
That's true.
It does have that feel, and to be able to design that, it's not like I mean, it kind of feels like some other games, but somehow still feels a little fresh in my mind.
Yeah, it's
So
fresh. It has such a unique concept, but
mhm,
it's not like hard to get into. It's not hard to understand either.
mhm.
Uh, I think that is something that Bruno Catala is known for. So you're right. That is the next Bruno Catala.
And
But
that
yeah,
is high praise from
that
me.
is high praise. The next Bruno Catala. He will have that on his page very soon. On to the best theming. Just is so hard to choose. It's like you have to factor in what's the best theme, and then how well it's implemented into the game. If something's a really good theme not implemented well, does that beat an all right theme implemented very well? I don't know. It's up to each individual person to determine. But the games here are Return to Dark Tower with, I don't know, generic bad guy theme. That's what I would say, honestly.
Very
Different adversaries, go out with your character and kill some baddies.
Lord of the Rings type
It's Lord
monsters
of the
and
Rings,
stuff.
the board game. Yes. My father's work, which is that one I would say is a pretty unique theme. I think you're kind
Mhm.
of doing these different experiments. Is it through generations, and using I guess your father's work, and I don't know. I haven't looked too into it. I don't care about theme that much, but kind of making these experiments, Frankenstein thingies. Then Wonderland's War, set in like Alice in Wonderland type thing, but with war. Obviously, there's a lot of battling in that game. I don't know if
Mhm.
there's war in those books or whatever. Not sure. Have not read them.
I'm not sure.
Explored it. Heat, Pedal to the Metal, very straightforward racing theme, and Nemesis Lockdown. Like I said, like Alien, but in a board game. Obviously,
Mhm.
can't use that name there.
Right. But yeah, as close as you can get without using the actual name. Um, yeah, this one, best theming is tough. Yeah, it just depends kind of how you look at it. Like you said, um, I really, so we've played Wonderland's War,
Yeah,
and I liked it quite a bit. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like I could have been fine with it being another theme, and I
I
don't think
think
it would
that
have changed the experience.
yeah, but it's still a very I don't know, it's a very vibrant theme, I
Yeah,
guess.
that's
So
true.
I
It
think
comes
people
through
could
the villain.
vote for it, but I do think you could take a lot of other themes and put them on that gameplay.
Hmm.
But I think it is also a theme that's going to draw in a lot of votes. Um,
Hmm. That's true.
my father's work is a very unique theme. I like it a lot. From what I've heard, it comes across pretty well. I think there's a lot of story in that as well,
Hmm.
a lot of text. Almost too much. I think Tom said he could cut it down 50%. When he kind of skims it, and he's a fast reader, and he still kind of skips over some. So I'm like, is that too much theme?
That's
Hurt the
true.
game.
Because yeah, that was one that I was thinking of possibly getting, and then now that you say that, I remember that was part of. I was like, I don't mind when it's some story, but yeah, when it starts being feeling like most of the time what we're doing is just reading, um, especially if it's really long, then it starts to take away a little bit,
Yeah,
but can still be good.
yeah.
But are we picking what I think we're picking? Something getting hot in here.
You're
Ah,
picking it at least. They
I am
say this
picking it.
is this is racing game. They say this feels like a racing
Yeah, and I feel like this one's been so hot.
game.
I just what was the price? Like 70 some dollars or $70 when it recently came back into stock, and I'm like, I was thinking it was just normal size Days of Wonder, like 5 Tribes size box, but
Yeah.
I think it's actually like thicker than that.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then when I saw it was like $70, and I think it already sold out and stuff again. Not saying that it isn't worth $70. I haven't played this one, but I was just like, wow, people just love this game, and yeah, I think it part of it is the theme. I think
Yeah.
it's got to be. So that's what I got to go
Yeah.
with that one.
I think it's probably the best implemented theme. It comes across the most. But
Mhm.
there are a lot of racing themed games. So I'm actually going to go for competition's sake between us. I know you've matched me so much here. I have to do my best to make this interesting. I'm going to go over to Wonderlands.
Wow. Okay.
That's probably a big mistake. So I'm hoping one of these other three can take it because I know I've just cursed myself here. I'm just cheering for anything but hate.
Wow.
But
Oh
I
boy.
think you got a good chance of getting a point there. Best production value. Value! Which they have ignored, I believe, the past 2 years and just gone for big, very expensive games that, of course, they're going to be great looking if you spend that much. Honey
Mhm.
Buzz got robbed. But the nominations this
I
year
would
are
agree.
Endless Winter, Paleo Americans, Foundations of Rome, Wonderland's War, Flamecraft, and Return to Dark Tower. All good looking games. Great
We've got
looking, great
several
components.
really expensive games here.
Yes. We have played Endless Winter, Wonderland's War, Return to Dark Tower, and we have Foundations of Rome on the way.
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, when Honey Buzz launched, I was like, that's a very affordable game, and its production competed and even outshined some games worth hundreds of dollars more. And it didn't win. So now I'm
Mhm.
thinking bigger is always better in the mind of these voters. I'm going Foundations of Rome.
Yeah, that is what I was thinking as well. But then I was like, is that a heart pick? Because I think that looks pretty good. And Wonderland's War, I was like, well, I think the way to get that the best is to have the chips,
Oh yeah,
which is an
chips.
add-on. Um, so yeah, that's not the typical. And I think there's miniatures and stuff. So, but I think that was pretty decent. The one we played, I think, was a
Yeah,
retail
yeah,
version. Um, so the cheaper stuff, but I think that still looks pretty good. But it's still, even the retail version, I think, was pretty expensive. Then yeah, Flamecraft, because of that Honey Buzz things, makes me think Flamecraft has no chance of winning this, even though it's got some nice artwork and nice components. Return to Dark Tower is massive tower. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's got some decent artwork
yeah.
and other stuff, but
There's
I would say the rest of the stuff to me isn't, if I remember right, wasn't like
yeah. I
amazingly
would
outstanding.
I would say that the tower is, I mean, unmatched in components in that game. I mean, there's nothing else that really stands out. It has a few miniatures. You can add on a bunch of miniatures and plastic resources as well. I did not get those, but I don't think Return to Dark Tower is going to win. I think it is just the tower. And like you said with Wonderland's War, I don't think that's going to win just because base game doesn't have those chips.
Mhm. But I think this is taking a risk here, but I'm going with Endless Winter. I don't know why,
Those
but
miniatures are amazing.
it does have a few things that are really amazing. But at the same time, I'm like, but I don't know that it's got like enough stuff to really push it over the edge. And I'm just thinking that Foundations of Rome might just be too much and might be like, oh well, yes, for the value, but maybe they'll take a little stance for that. But I could easily see it being
Yeah.
Foundations of Rome. I think that one will be for me. Uh, best production if we're eliminating value. Because I think those look really amazing. But I know Chris Yee thinks it's outrageous.
Outrageous. But yeah, those minis in Endless Winter are amazing. I mean, it's the Miko's artwork in a miniature. I don't know how they did it. It's so good.
I don't know.
Speaking of artwork, we do have a Miko artwork. Best artwork, we've got Flamecraft, artist Sandra Tang, Trekking Through History, Eric Hibler, Wonderland's War, Manny Tremblay, Endless Winter, we just call him the Miko, I can't pronounce his name, and Merchants of the Dark Road, Andrew Bosley, and Joey Julian, and Matt Paquette and Co. Which were a few names that were extra in there. I would have just said Andrew Bosley, but they listed those as well, so they must have had some stuff to do with it as well. I feel like this is one of the stronger years for artwork.
Mm-hmm. I feel like in the past I haven't liked their choices as much. So this has probably been the toughest one for me out of the 3 years we've predicted.
Yeah. I mean, this has two of my favorite covers of all time in Trekking Through History and Merchants of the Dark Road.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those are both like almost instant gets just based off of the cover. Flamecraft, I don't know if you're as big a fan of the cover. I like it a lot as well.
Yeah, it's not my favorite. And I guess I don't. So is this all artwork in the game?
I think
that's
so.
another thing I wasn't sure of, or if it's
I think
just
it
the
is.
cover. But I feel like the cover is going to be
It's
like when someone asks, I think that's going to be, or when someone's picking, they're going to think of the cover.
yeah.
And then potentially if there's other artwork in the game that is really, really good, they'll probably think of that. But I'm guessing the big thing they will be thinking is the cover.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not sure. I feel like just because Merchants of the Dark Road isn't overly well received, I feel like that could hurt it in some sort of tie-break situation, not being able to choose. Maybe they just have better thoughts, better memories playing the other games, so that could win them out. I feel like they might go with Wonderland's War. I personally wouldn't, but jeez. Oh, but Flamecraft is so cute.
Flamecraft is cute.
They might go cute.
I think the look of, like you said, if Merchants of the Dark Road had been a really well received game, I think it would be right in the conversation for top cover. I think that really, really hurts it. I'm glad that it was nominated for this because it deserves it. Well, I guess not cover, best artwork throughout the game. It's a little dark in some places. I will say it's a little dark, so that might hurt it too. So it probably won't win, but it is one of my all-time favorite covers. It just looks really, really cool. It's probably partially because from being from Minnesota, it just kind of has a colder look, which Endless Winter has as well. But there's something about the darkness and the fire that just works really well.
Yeah.
I like Wonderland's War art quite a bit in the game, and the cover might actually be my. I mean, I like it, but it might be my least favorite part. I think the artwork in the game is better.
Yeah. Is that your vote?
Actually, I was looking at my list and I did not write anything down for this one.
I didn't make.
So that must have been how tough it was. That I just must have in my head thought that I did it. And I kept looking down. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't have a thing written down for this one. So this is really tough. I really love the Micho's artwork.
But I mean, Bosley and Miko have been around so long. I feel like I might also hurt them. They're not this. I mean, not that any of these are necessarily new. I don't know how long they've been in business.
This is all so good. Endless Winter art's good. It's really good, actually. Yeah, I like the Wonderland's War art.
Oh, geez.
I haven't really seen the artwork as much. I mean, Flamecraft stuff's good, but I'm wondering, is it good or is it cute?
That's true.
Maybe it's both.
I think it's both. I'm just trying to make up because I'm not as big into the theme of Wonderland's War, so I'm not as into the actual artwork. But it is really good quality.
Wonderland's War?
I think that
for
might
second
be my
time.
prediction. I think that might be my prediction. I'm gonna kill myself because I love trekking through history. Every card is unique artwork, but
Why wouldn't you pick that then?
that's my personal pick. But
I think
maybe.
people could pick it. I think that was
Okay.
pretty hot
Okay.
there for a
I'll
little
go with
while.
it. If
There
I
we go.
lose, at least I
There
won.
we go.
At least I
There
won
we
with
go.
my
Convincing
heart
him. I'm gonna go with
manipulating me.
Endless Winter, the Miko. I
Going with
I do
endless
like
one.
this. I always love his artwork.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is a little bit different. I don't think he had done like a wintry type one yet. So
I think it looks
he
really.
probably did, but yeah.
I mean, he's just good at everything. Whenever he does something a little different, I'm like, oh, this really fits his style. And it's like, if it's that way with everything, then he's just good at everything.
All right.
Onto best strategy game. So the Zach category here, the super complicated 5-weight games, Endless Winter Paleo Americans, Carnegie, Wayfarers of the South Tigris, Planet Unknown, and Woodcraft. Why is Planet Unknown here? It's such a welcoming game. Everyone in our group plays.
Makes me sick. I mean, there's strategy in it. I won't say there isn't, and I mean it's fine, but this is just the same as the spiel. I'm like, I don't know. The spiel for me is going a little bit too light. I feel like that would have been a really good one for the spiel.
Yeah.
Kinderspiel, sure, with where it's been going, but and it should have won. It was robbed. Yeah, I don't think it can win this because I don't think it's got enough strategy in comparison to the other ones here. So yeah, that one, it's a solid game.
You played 4 of these, right? Because you played Wayfarers,
I have.
Endless Winter, Planet Unknown, and you even played Carnegie solo, I believe, on Board Game Arena.
I did.
Can't even believe that happened.
That was a long time ago, and I do not remember it. But I do remember that there was just some things in it that I just didn't really like all that much, or felt weird. But I don't know if that was the solo. And maybe going back, I might like it. It was definitely a heavier game, I remember. And I think that one's been pretty well received, actually.
It's pretty high on the Board Game Geek rating,
which
actually.
just surprised me because I just felt like I'd never heard anyone talk about it, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing like this in some of the top lists, and
it is
like,
121 Board Game Geek rankings.
Yeah, that's just. I just feel like
crazy.
I never. Maybe I'm just not listening to the right people, but I just don't hear it talk about it like at all, and I just really well loved. And I was like, in my one play of it, I didn't think it was anything amazing. Maybe I wasn't in the right mood for it. And I did play it solo, which I'd never play games solo, so that might have influenced it. And it might have even been before the game was I don't remember when they put it on Board Game Arena, but it was. I feel like it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It was a long time ago. So yeah. Well, now that we've talked about Carnegie so much, I just don't know if it's going to win though, because I don't know who they're asking.
I watched the video and it looked super complicated. And then I saw that I think Tom liked it quite a bit. Saw it was ranked 121. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to pick this. It's going to be kind of a sleeper pick, maybe.
It probably is the best
for this strategy game.
Yeah, and I think people have liked Woodcraft, but I haven't looked at that one too much. That's, I think, it's another Suchi game. Endless Winter, I don't know if I would say it's best strategy game. So, but I think this might be a little bit biased here, I think. And I'm going to go with Wayfarers of the South Tigris. I really like the game, and it is pretty crunchy, but it is still approachable if you've played other Garfield games. I think it's at that kind of level of some of their more recent ones, like Paladins and Viscounts.
Yeah, I have not played it, so in my mind, it's just like, what is it, the 7th game in their releases in these trilogies, and I'm just like, there's no way that one can stand out and win a category. But I mean, a lot of people are win, but and saying it could be their favorite, so it could happen. It could happen.
Yeah, I feel like it's not getting enough respect, and it might be because it is the 7th of They might be getting tired of them a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, it's possible. And most innovative game, Turing Machine, kind of a deduction type game. Planet Unknown, not social deduction, it wasn't. Planet Unknown, polyomino game. 3,000 Scoundrels. Not sure exactly what kind of game that is. Cat in the Box is a trick-taking game. And then the old werewolfy Blood on the Clock Tower. Which initially I'm like, why is Blood on the Clock Tower? Sure, I'm not in that scene, but I'm like, isn't this the same as all the rest? And I know that's so offensive to all the people who like these games that I immediately personally eliminated that one, as well as Planet Unknown, just because I didn't think those were overly innovative.
Right. Yeah, I think Planet Unknown used the Lazy Susan in a very innovative way, which actually made the game, I think, come to life and work. But
That game
yeah,
would
I don't.
lose like 2 or 3 points on my rating
would.
if it didn't have that.
It would, but yeah, I don't know that the actual tile drafting and placement is that innovative. So yeah, I did not think that one would probably win either. And Turing Machine, it feels like kind of the pick that it's like, oh yes, this is very innovative, but I don't know.
It has
It seems like one of
holes
those
in the
things that
box. Zach, in the box.
it
Cover.
seems like one of those games where is it a game or is it an activity? So that's where I kind of go away from that because it's like, And then 3,000 Scoundrels, I feel like I heard a lot when people were like, "Oh, I'm excited about this, excited about this," and then I don't know if it flopped or what happened, but I
Just
have
watched the
not heard
review.
anyone talk about it since.
Watched the review, and they liked a lot of the things in it, but I think it had a few 6 ratings in there, and I was like, "Oh boy, it's disappointing." But
it might be because I think they had a lot of hope going into
it
it,
was
so
hyped
that
up.
sometimes does hurt. That does hurt things sometimes because you might have been expecting more. So that could be it because I know a lot of them were very hyped about it. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Cat in the Box. I what's that?
I thought so. After you
Yeah,
said,
I think it. I don't really care much for the area control part of it, but just the way that the card play works. You can only have one of each card, but it can be any color and stuff. That I'm just shocked how well it works. I think that's innovative, but
it does work really well. It's my favorite trick-taking game, I think. I mean, but after the Crew and then another Crew,
that's
fair. I don't know if people want, and not that both crews won this category, but I don't know if people might be wanting something a little different.
That's true.
I think
it might hurt it a little bit.
Turing Machine is just so hard to understand exactly how it's working. You have these kind of cards with holes in them, and you pick your numbers trying to guess a 3-digit code. Very simple. Pull those, and they overlay, and they leave one little hole when you stack those 3 cards, and then you put that to another test card, which corresponds to like some criteria, like is your yellow number bigger than your blue number, something random like that. And it goes on there, and it shows you on a big Minesweeper grid that square either circles a check mark or an X, and that gives you the information. And I'm like, how does that even work? How did they get? It's like, I don't even know how many cards. I don't know how it works. I don't know how they designed it, how the math works out to that system to not have to use a computer for that.
Mm-hmm. That's probably my second pick.
I think people are going to be mind blown by that and do that, even though it is just a logic puzzle. And I don't know if those can be overly innovative.
That's true. But yeah, that would probably be my second pick.
Yep. On to the grand finale here.
Oh boy. What are these number of nominations?
The year. Yes, those are the number of nominations that these received throughout this whole thing. There are a couple others that had like 3, but they were not nominated for Game of the Year. But yeah, so this is Heat, Pedal to the Metal, which overall received 3 nominations. Blood on the Clock Tower. Blood on the Clock Tower, the PG channel, 5 nominations. Flamecraft with also 5, Foundations of Rome with 2, Wonderland's War with 4, Planet Unknown with 4, Endless Winter Paleo Americans with 4, Wayfarers of the South Tigris with 3, Return to Dark Tower with the most, with 6 nominations, and Ready Set Bet with 3. Oh boy. Game of the year.
Is Blood on the Clock Tower going to get snubbed? In our rankings, I think it is, but will it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to get snubbed. I mean, maybe if it had a better name, maybe.
I think it's more likely to get snubbed than Return to Dark Tower.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what's. I don't feel, for some reason, Wayfarers and Endless Winter, I kind of group together as good games, but not mind blowing, big impact games that are going to win this.
I would agree. And then I feel like Planet Unknown to me seems like one that probably just didn't get enough play. It wasn't available enough throughout the year, so it didn't get as much. I mean, I think a lot of people were talking good things about it, but I don't think it got as much running room as it could have.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, because that could be my personal pick here, probably. I mean, it had to be between that and Return to Dark Tower. I guess I did play Wonderland's War as well, and Endless Winter. Planet Unknown would probably be my personal pick. But
I think it'd be mine as well, and then Wayfarers would be right up there for me, personally. And Wonderland's War is really good too. So,
jeez. I mean, Ark Nova won last year. Tom Vassel's favorite game. It was his favorite game, and then it won that. The year before that, The Crew wins it. Tom Vassell hyped that up a lot. So I just wonder. I mean, I know he doesn't sway this stuff, or at least he says he doesn't. But I feel like there's just some connection that we can't understand.
He says he doesn't get a vote, but that's because he gets 10 votes.
And he votes for all his children.
Exactly. He doesn't get a vote, but his wife does, and so do all his children.
True.
And they say whatever you want, Dad.
But even if he did have that, then I think that brings it down to Heat and Rome and Ready Set Bet. And even that, I don't even know. This is tough. I think
I would agree.
I think I have my pick, but
I'm pretty confident about my pick, even though it's another one that I think was not as widely available as it could have been.
Yeah.
I think even now it's still not. I think it fully sold out again, if I remember right, because I thought someone was saying they were still trying to get it. And it is a game that I've not played and not been near either. Have not been near it played, and it is not coming. So I'm gonna go Heat, Pedal to the Metal.
To the Metal.
I think that one's gonna win.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think so too.
It's one of those things where I don't know if when I do hopefully eventually try it, because there's just been so much hype about. It is one that I have not been that excited about. To be honest, I don't know. But there's just been so many people that have loved it, so
it is.
There's got to be something there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Days of Wonder's back on top. Back on top with another big game.
You can play your Heat. I'm going to play my 5 tribes from them.
Still the best. Yeah, I don't know. There is just a lot of talk about it. It doesn't excite me overly. I'm excited. I would like to try it, but just watching gameplay, I don't know if it stands out to me, like for all the hype that it has. But it does have all that hype, so I think it's going to take it. I mean, a lot of these have hype as well. I feel like Flamecraft was a little while ago that it had hype. I feel like it's died down a little bit, so I think that. Otherwise, I think they were probably at their peak, equally popular.
They're both hot.
hot, hot, hot. Flame and Heat, the year of fire. Foundations of Rome and Wonderland's War. I think maybe just too big, even though Foundations of Rome is pretty approachable gameplay wise.
Yeah,
And Ready
I was
Set Bet.
thinking too big.
Yeah, Ready
Return
Set
to
Bet
Dark
might
Tower
just,
too.
Yeah, Return to Dark Tower. Ready Set Bet might just be too party game for this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think.
And I just looked, and even though Carnegie, what did you say it was, ranked 100 something?
121.
And Heat is ranked 70.
That's unreal. Unreal. I wonder what.
And there's still tons of people that are trying to get it that have not played it. So it's going to be.
Yeah,
I think it's got to win. I would be pretty surprised if. I think there's just going to be people that are voting on it that just don't want the party style game of Ready Set Bet, so that kind of hurts that one. Flamecraft, maybe Flamecraft could win. Like you said, I think it's cooled down a bit. Um, yeah, I would be surprised if any of the other ones won.
Yeah,
I think it's really those three.
Yeah, I think so.
My opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to be surprised. I mean, it's always
Mhm.
fun that happens. If Planet Unknown somehow comes out with this, I don't think it's gonna. But I mean, if they are forced to play all these games,
They're
it's
gonna
just
know.
an undeniably great game in Planet Unknown that they underestimated. Maybe it gets the votes, but yeah, I think Heat's gonna take it.
Mhm. I'd be interested to see what the votes ended up being, but
Yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna do that. I don't know if they're gonna release what people actually voted. So
How can
yeah,
how can we know it's legit?
exactly. Because Jason Levine, the gaming machine, is the one counting. I think so. It is legit. He will assure you. It's the most legit thing ever done. But yeah, if you've made it this far, we definitely appreciate it. We'd love a thumbs up, or you can you give a thumbs down still? I don't even remember.
I
I know
think
you
so.
do. So yeah, if you hated it, definitely give us a thumbs down too. We appreciate either one. We just appreciate if you've made it this far that you have made it this far.
Been a long,
Yeah, like I said,
long journey here. This video.
it has been a long journey. So yeah, we'd really love to hear what you think's going to win these ones. What maybe your favorite game out of these ones is. Maybe you're a big fan of Blood on the Clock Tower, and we've just shamed you throughout the whole video, and we
Sweep them all.
apologize for that. But yeah, like we said, just not a game for us, so it's hard to get behind it. So, but yeah. Otherwise, we hope all these games do well, continue to do well. I'm assuming they've done well for them to get nominated for these awards in the first place. So
yeah, for sure.
yeah. Any other words from the wise Pepper?
No, but well, I am going to take you down. I'm going to take that whatever cup, claret jug you were talking about. Golf nerd. I'm going to win. That's all I have to say.
Ooh, boy.
Confident.
You better be. But otherwise, we hope to see you on the next video. And as always, don't forget to keep on nibbling on our content.